Hi, I'm Emily Rohanna, and I'm going to be talking to you today about gun violence and gun control. Okay. There are many strategies out there for reducing gun violence. Gun violence has always been an issue. However, with so many recent shootings, it has been the most controversial issue today that demands an answer. There are plenty of ideas out there, including reducing magazine sizes, putting restrictions on guns, and requiring background checks for gun buyers. These are all ideas that could potentially help, but if a person decides to kill, none of these options are going to stop him or her. To fix a problem, you should always start from the root of the problem, the person themselves. Whether being a simple need of loving, positive upbringing or a complicated mental issue, we must first offer help to each person in need in hopes of preventing gun violence. The brain is the part of the body that allows us to feel joy or despair, to respond to others in a loving or angry way, to use reason, or to simply react. These are all results of genetics and childhood experiences. The brain has not yet fully developed at birth. There are many parts that are still underdeveloped, such as cognitive memory and emotional and social behaviors. The brain matures in the outside world, which means that young children and infants are deeply affected by their early experiences. Their relationships with their parents and other important role models in their lives don't just influence their moods, but have a huge impact on how their brain is wired. Researchers now confirm that the way infants are interacted with and the experiences provided for them has a major impact on the child's emotional development, learning skills, and how they function later in life. Providing your child with a proper upbringing and loving and caring atmosphere promotes good mental health and behaviors. This brings me to my next point. Video games can be a fun, harmless activity that can even be educational and be good for the brain development. However, more and more kids are playing violent ones. In these games, kids are actually being positively reinforced for killing. If you kill someone, you don't get penalized or sent to jail, you get extra points. This does not teach kids good moral consequences. It reinforces aggressive behavior that could potentially lead to aggressive tendencies or serious mental issues that affects their emotional responses and inability to respond correctly to adverse situations. Just when teens are wiring the circuits for self-control, responsibility, and relationships, they will carry them with them into adulthood. Violent games activate their anger center while dampening the brain's conscious. And think of the more subtle impact. What do you think the effect is when your kids spend time with violent simulators that glorify gang culture, celebrate brutality, lionize credences, and trivialize violence toward women? They are learning to adapt criminalistic ways which they will potentially carry with them through life. Which brings me to my next point. Criminals are called criminals because they do illegal things. Putting restrictions on eliminating certain guns is not going to stop them from getting them or using them. This suggestion is only going to make them commit more crimes involving guns. If they decide to go on a shooting spree, where do you think they would go? To a gun-free zone or to a place where they allow concealed weapons? The choice is obvious. They're going to take advantage of the gun-free zone because they know they have less chance to get stopped or shot at themselves. Whereas if they decided to go to the place where guns were allowed, they could easily be stopped and sooner. Studies show that states that do require gun restrictions have higher gun violence than any other. Restricting guns is only bad news for the good citizens that follow the laws because they aren't going to have the proper protection when a criminal starts shooting at them, which is also why we need to be correctly educated and informed on gun safety. In order to protect ourselves, we must know how to handle a gun correctly. There needs to be more gun safety classes being taken and more knowledge on the purpose of guns. Guns should be used for protection but not a weapon, for sport but not for play. This concept should be taught at a young age in order to prevent any issue of a gun. A few key steps to ensure safety while using a gun are: treat all guns as if they were loaded, never point the gun at anything you do not intend to destroy, keep your finger on the trigger until your sights are on target and you have decided to fire, and last but not least, be sure of your target as well as the surroundings and beyond. These are just 4 things to remember while using a gun. In order to promote good gun safety and handling, we must have more gun safety classes to offer and easier access to safety information. In addition to educating people about gun safety, enforcing gun laws needs to be taken place. More and more people are getting let off the hook for crimes they have committed. Extending sentences and making criminals pay an adequate amount of time for their crime must be assured, as well as thorough background checks on gun buyers. Background checks need to be dug deeper to ensure that the person buying the gun is more than qualified for owning a gun and it is using it properly. Many people are unsure of how background checks work. In the current system, once you have decided to purchase a gun from a retail outlet, the stores enter your name and information into the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, or NICS, via a toll-free number or the internet, to check the eligibility of the buyer. The checks usually take a few minutes to complete. The NICS system is linked to several databases managed by the FBI, including the National Crime Information Center, and runs an individual name through federal and criminal records. The current system cannot force states to share all of their records with the NICS database, especially ones regarding mental health. This lack of record allows some people with mental issues to legally purchase guns. In conclusion, there are many ways to help prevent gun violence. There may not be an exact answer or even a sure one, but there is also a positive outcome from a person who has been properly brought up, is well informed on anything that could potentially be dangerous, and ready to protect themselves. So I just have one more thing to show my audience. This is a video on a child's answer to gun violence and how they feel about it.
All week at ABC News, we've been searching for solutions to gun violence in America after the tragedies in New York. And we've been talking every day about how to keep our kids safe. Well, tonight, when we are in school, we're back to Hazel Elementary School and talking to some children about their ideas on violence. Real monsters in the world, or just regular people? Or if you're greater take on the tough questions that our nation. Why would he do that? Explain when he gets urge to do it. Why does it help you to know why he did it? If it's happened, something made him do it, they can stop that from happening to another person, making them do it again. And listen to what they say about guns. Are guns bad? Not always. Guns can be good or bad depending on who's using them. Is the answer no guns? Not exactly. Let's add context. I need a gun, man. Sell me the gun. Should I be able to get a red net? No. You should put a gun on a bullet that can be in a gun. We need to review why this happened. And the gun or the culture of violence. What did you think of? But as for violent movies, video games, and music, they say the problem is the user who plays video games. Now, when you see those things, does it make you want to do those things to regular people? Oh, no, it's just the game. You don't believe that the game changes your mind?
Okay, and that is all for my speech. Thank you for listening.